No, yes, Jairam Ramesh, because that is the consent of the House. Yes. Therefore, I am calling him.
Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I thank
That
Mr. Mukhtar Abbas
you thank the House
for the gesture
you
for
thank
having
the
me
House
to speak first.
Because the House wanted, I am doing that.
I thank you first, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I rise in considerable anguish to speak and support, with amendments, the Aadhaar Bill 2016. So yesterday, we had the ritualistic obeisance to the importance of the Rajya Sabha. Today, we are knocking a nail into the coffin of the upper house. I say this advisedly, sir, and I'm sure that Lord Krishna had opposition members of the Rajya Sabha in mind when he advised Arjuna in chapter 2, Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur ma te sanghostu karmani. I feel in the same situation today, I'm executing only my duty, which is enjoined on me by Article 109 of the Constitution. I have no regard to the consequences of this debate because we all know what the end result of this debate is going to be. However, we have to do our duty, and that duty has been enjoined on us by Article 109, and I'm grateful for small mercies that we are at least having the opportunity for having a debate on this bill in this House. So let me begin by saying that contrary to what the Leader of the House has tried to portray, I have been a strong, vocal, and enthusiastic supporter of the Aadhaar idea and the Aadhaar legislation from the day it was born in the chamber of the then Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. As Union Rural Development Minister, I was the first one to use the Aadhaar idea, the Aadhaar number, in the payment of wages for Mahatma Gandhi Narega, the payment of pensions under the National Social Assistance Program, and for the delivery of food subsidies, beginning in East Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh and then taken up in Chittoor district. So I need no certificates or lectures on my commitment to Aadhaar. Sir, the Leader of the House has given a detailed exposition on why this is a money bill, and I will not go over those arguments. I am not a lawyer, I am not a constitutional expert, but I am a student of constitutional history. And Article 110, the word only, as the Honorable Leader of the House has mentioned, has special significance. Unfortunately, the former Attorney General of India, who is a nominated member of this House, is not present. And I spent long hours with him over the weekend. And he has given me a 10-page letter, a 10-page note, which I am willing to place on the table of the House, which argues that in pith and substance, the same language that the Honorable Leader of the House has used, in pith and substance, the Aadhaar Bill is not a money bill. This is the former Attorney General of India who has said this. However, sir, the Speaker's decision is final. We respect that decision. But I do want to raise one question here. The Honorable Leader of the House, in this House and in the other House, said, who are you to argue about the Aadhaar Bill being a money bill? The Juvenile Justice Bill in 1986 and the African Development Bank Bill in 1983 were declared as money bills. Who gives you the moral authority to argue? Sir, I was astonished by what the Honorable Leader of the House said. Could it be that the Juvenile Justice Bill was a money bill? Could it be that the African Development Bank Bill of 1983 was a money bill? I went to the Parliament House library. I read 500 pages of debate on both these bills. I contacted the officers concerned with both those bills, and finally, sir, finally, I asked the Rajya Sabha secretariat.
Enriched your knowledge very much.
I asked the Rajya Sabha secretariat, were these money bills or not? And what do I get from the Rajya Sabha secretariat? The African Development Bank Bill 1983, debated in this House on May 9th, 1983, was not a money bill. The Juvenile Justice Bill, debated in this House on the 18th of November 1986, was not a money bill. And the leader of the House is telling us these are money bills. Sir, I don't know where this information came from. This is a note I have got from the Rajya Sabha Secretariat. I will authenticate it, give it to the table of the House. But I would like once and for all the leader of the House to tell us where this information was manufactured. Juvenile Justice Bill as a money bill and the African Development Bank Bill as a money bill. This goes contrary to the information that we have. I may be wrong, but I am going by what the Rajya Sabha Secretariat has told me this. So, much has been made in the Leader of the House opening remarks on the LPG subsidy. And the main justification for the Aadhaar was the 14,000 crores saving in LPG subsidy in the first year of the introduction of the DBT, the Aadhaar-based DBT. So I have here a study that has been done by a London-based think tank called the International Institute for Sustainable Development, which says the following: publicly available information clearly demonstrates that the Aadhaar-based DBT was not responsible for identifying and blocking 3.3 crore connections, or even a significant fraction of that, during any part of the financial year. So where are these numbers being manufactured from? Is Make in India going to be on numbers or on goods and services? Here is a study which I will authenticate and place on the table of the House. If this is wrong, let this be challenged. But here is a study which is calling into question one of the fundamental premises of what the Honorable Leader of the House has said, that there are 14,000 crores worth of saving on account of the Aadhaar and its use for direct benefit transfer in the LPG subsidy. Sir, the Honorable Leader of the House has compared the 2010 bill and the 2016 bill. I pleaded with the chairman of the Standing Committee. The Prime Minister sent me to meet the Standing Committee members. I pleaded with them. But in 2010, sir, the Standing Committee vetoed the bill lock, stock and barrel. I'm glad 6 years later, this government is coming forward with a different bill, similar in some respects, different in other aspects, but they're coming forward with this bill. The Honorable Leader of the House said, where I stand depends on where I sit. Sir, I supported GST when I stood there, and I support GST when I am sitting here. I supported Aadhaar when I was there. I support Aadhaar when I was here. I supported the land acquisition bill there. I support the land acquisition bill here. On all these three, the leader of the opposition and his party have changed their mind when they have gone from here to there. So I need no certificates of my intellectual integrity from the leader of the House. Sir, I'll now come to the bill proper. I support the Aadhaar bill. I want the Aadhaar bill. but I am proposing some major amendments. Yes, those are amendments even to the 2010 bill. As the Honorable Leader of the House has admitted, we learn from experience. So what is wrong if the amendments I am proposing go against the 2010 bill itself? So, much has been said about the Finance Minister's budget. But one thing that struck me in this budget is his enormous fascination for the number 9. Some numerology for number 9. Paragraph 13 in the budget speech, the Finance Minister gives 9 objectives for economic policy. In para 90, the Finance Minister gives 9 objectives for financial sector reforms. And finally, in para 117, he gives 9 objectives for tax policy. So, I'm a great admirer of the Leader of the House. I will give 9 objections to the Aadhaar Bill. So the fundamental departure on the Aadhaar Bill 2016 comes from a recognition that even today Aadhaar must be used, but it must be voluntary. It must not be mandatory. So let me backtrack a little. Let me rewind a little. What is Aadhaar? There is enormous confusion on what is Aadhaar. That Aadhaar will somehow identify people who are entitled for subsidy. My friend Rajiv Chandrasekhar is shaking his head, and I hope he will have the courage of his conviction and support me when his turn comes.
He will not.
So, Aadhaar does not determine who is eligible, who is not eligible. Please, let us get rid of this myth. Aadhaar is proof of identity. It says, if I am eligible, I am whom I am. It does not determine that just because I have an Aadhaar number, I am entitled to a subsidy. No. That's not the idea.
How is it a finance bill?
It's proof of identity. It does not, and I'm sure the Honorable Leader of the House agrees with me.
Then how is it a finance
It's
bill?
proof of identity. ये तय नहीं करेगा कि आप सब्सिडी के लायक हैं कि नहीं. ये कहेगा कि जावेद अली खान, आप जावेद अली खान हैं, आप और कोई व्यक्ति नहीं है. ये आइडेंटिटी का एक प्रूफ है. So, I am 100% with the Honorable Leader of the House. This Aadhaar is a subsidy Sudhar program because fakes, duplicates are a reality. What Aadhaar does, as my experience showed in Narega, in PDS, in old age pensions, that the fake and duplicate, which during my time, in my experience, ranged anywhere from 8% to 15%, get eliminated. But it does not determine who is entitled for pension. It does not determine who is entitled for wages. It does not determine who is entitled for subsidy. It only determines that you are you. Neeraj, aap Neeraj ho, aur koi nahi. This is what Aadhaar does. To use the language of this government, so this government comes up with beautiful phrases. I mean, they deserve Bharat Ratna for marketing, Bharat Ratna for labeling.
Wow.
Jam.
Event management.
Jam is a big nara of this government. Let alone the government is in a jam, but that's a separate issue. That's a Derek type joke, so don't laugh. Jam. Jan Dhan Yojana, Aadhaar, and mobile, jam. This legislation is for A, not for J, not for M, it's for A. But the reform is jam. Without J, without M, that A is useless bread. Aadhaar by itself does not solve the problem. So let us understand what we are doing today. We must have legislation for Aadhaar. We must have legislation for the UID authority. But let us not go away from here that we have done subsidy sudhar, that we have somehow managed to solve the problem of delivering subsidies and wages and pensions. We have tackled one part of the issue, which is fake identity, duplicate identity.
Let him complete.
So when I finish, you can finish.
I think you'll appreciate the intervention. So the honourable member said that with regard to two of the legislations, where did I get the information from?
I know where you got it from. On the website. On the website of Parliament
So you
of
should have
India.
come out with the full truth
Sir,
in the first
websites can
instance.
be wrong. Websites can be wrong. Data entry wrong. 1 second, Mr. Leader of the House, I have been to the same website. I have clicked the same button. I've got the same money bill.
Therefore,
Are you going to believe a website of the Rajya Sabha secretariat?
sir, therefore making a song and dance about the fact that the information is incorrect, since the full information was in your knowledge, the information comes from the Lok Sabha website.
But that is
As
wrong.
of 4 minutes past 3,
But Mr.
I again took another
Leader
printout
of the
of the
House,
Lok Sabha website. It says the
Mr.
same that it
Leader
was
of the House, it's completely wrong. It's wrong website. I'm giving you the information.
The information provided to the world by the Lok Sabha may be wrong, but since you knew the answer,
I'm sorry.
you should have been fair enough and candid
I'm
enough
sorry.
to come out with the answer at that time.
If you,
As of 4 minutes past 3 just now,
I have-
the website still carries the information that these are money bills.
I have been restrained in my manner, but you're forcing me to say you have deliberately misled the House.
House.
It is not that.
You knew that this information we have got from the website.
You
It
have
is there on the
misled the
website.
House.
Even now it's on the website.
have-
It's a money bill.
In your usual way, in your usual way, you have misled the House. You should have verified it. You should have I verified it.
Jairam,
I verified it.
you can accuse me of being misled by the Lok Sabha website.
Sure.
But you have misled
No,
this
please.
house by half-wits.
Don't spin
You
it.
knew that the Lok Sabha
Don't
website
spin
says
it.
so.
Okay.
Don't spin it.
Jairam Ramesh, now you come back to subject. Jairam Ramesh, now see, let me make it clear. See, if the information received by Honorable Finance Minister is from the website of either Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, then you cannot say he has misled the House. So, Now you proceed.
But
Now you proceed.
But I am saying on full authority that the website of the Lok Sabha is wrong. It's completely wrong. It's not a money bill. Anyway, that's a separate issue, sir.
Yeah, please.
That's a separate issue.
Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
separate issue.
All right.
He has said Lok Sabha website.
That's a separate
All
issue.
right.
And
Okay. Now proceed. Proceed. Proceed.
if in fact the website of the Lok Sabha is right, I am prepared to tender an unreserved, unconditional
Nobody's,
apology.
no need of argument. He is not saying that.
So I just want to make the
Mistake can be
facts
either
clear.
here or there.
I expected-
You proceed with your subject.
Fair enough to say, perhaps we have been all misled by the Lok Sabha website.
I am
Don't
glad
say
you
I
admit
manufactured
it.
the
I'm
issue.
glad.
No, please.
Sir,
Please proceed.
I took four
Speak on
days-
the subject.
Sir, because the
Don't be-
because the honorable leader of the House, I know, usually has his facts right. Sometimes he gives it a spin.
No, he said
that's
it's from
why.
the
That's
website.
why when he said, I went to cross-check.
No.
I went to cross-check.
Okay.
आप बैठो अरे आप बैठो
Ab aithe.
You're soon taking over his job.
Yeah.
बैठो ना.
Jairam ji.
You're soon moving there. Just
Yes.
down here.
Jairam ji, you
Sir.
also said in the Lok Sabha website it is so. So it's okay. So there is no deliberate misleading. You proceed. You proceed.
It's an
You
important
proceed.
point because allegation was made against us.
You proceed.
Sir, I said that I will take a leaf out of the Honorable Leader of the House's book, and with his fascination for 9, I will give 9 objections.
You already said 2.
So, 1.
Now 7 will do.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you've got your sense of humor back, sir. So the fundamental difference is on mandatory versus voluntary. We do not believe, and I do not believe, my party does not believe, that Aadhaar should be made mandatory across the board from day one. However, this bill, if you look at clause 57, and if you look at clause 7, certainly gives the interpretation and opens the door for mandatory use of the Aadhaar number. The bill is being bought to target subsidies. So let the bill be confined to the targeting of subsidies. Why? I don't have an Aadhaar number, sir. I don't have an Aadhaar number. And I don't need one. Because I am not a beneficiary of a subsidy. But tomorrow, if I were to want a mobile connection, if I were to go and buy an airline ticket, or if I were to go somewhere and the guy says, where is your Aadhaar number? You made it mandatory, no? The whole idea of Aadhaar is subsidy reform. The whole idea of Aadhaar is to remove fake, duplicate identities, which we support. Now, I believe that if you read this legislation as currently drafted, it certainly widens the ambit of Aadhaar and certainly makes it a mandatory proposition as opposed to a voluntary proposition, which was the intention of the UPA from day one. Sir, I have made some specific changes, amendments. At the time of the amendments, I will go over those amendments. Every individual must have the flexibility to opt out of Aadhaar. That's what the essence of voluntariness means. And the legislation as currently drafted does not allow the room for maneuver for somebody to either opt out of Aadhaar or somebody who does not desire an Aadhaar number. So my next problem with this legislation is on the privacy aspect that has been dealt with extensively by the Leader of the House. This is engaging the attention of the Supreme Court, and I will not say much on this. There are some amendments that I have proposed which will take care of some of the privacy concerns. In 2012, the Honorable Leader of the House knows the then Planning Commission set up an expert committee under the chairmanship of Justice A.P. Shah, a former Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court and a former chairman of the Law Commission. The Justice A.P. Shah committee enumerated a large number of principles which the Aadhaar legislation must follow to make it privacy compatible, and the amendments that I am proposing are basically anchored in the recommendations of the Justice A.P. Shah committee. Sir, the law as presently stands gives sweeping powers under the name of national security. The Indian Telegraph Act of 1885 does not use the word national security. It uses the word emergency, public emergency, and public safety. And what I am suggesting is that we be consistent, because the word national security is very broad, very amorphous. It can be misused. We have seen how it is being misused. And what I am suggesting is that instead of national security, there should be public emergency and public safety. The Supreme Court has ruled on this in 1996. It has given a series of guidelines which you have incorporated in this legislation. And what I am suggesting is that the presence of another independent member like the CVC or the CAG should also be there when the Aadhaar information is being shared in the name of public emergency and public safety. So I have already mentioned the fact that clause 57 widens the scope of Aadhaar. My party wants Aadhaar to be confined to the targeting of subsidies, and clause 57 opens a Pandora's box for the widespread use of Aadhaar for any purpose to be determined, and we certainly want clause 57 to be dropped. Sir, there are a number of clauses, which I will come to when I speak on the amendments, which gives the power to the UID authority under regulation. So this I am opposed to, we are opposed to collectively. Whatever must be done and passed by Parliament. No powers should be delegated to the UID authority, because then the UID authority will decide tomorrow that DNA is required, and they will then have the powers to take DNA information as well. My premise and my assumption, which I hope all members will agree, that whatever the UID wants to collect should be empowered by Parliament. There should be no delegated legislation, no delegated regulation, no suo motu powers to the UID authority to even collect the information, because we do not believe that this will be done in a manner that will inspire public confidence on all occasions. So therefore, in order to remove any ambiguity, in order to remove any doubt, whatever the UID authority needs to do, whatever the UID authority needs to collect, should be part of the main law that is being passed by Parliament. So these are, in broad terms, the differences that we have. Let me straightaway concede that the 2016 law has improved on the 2010 law in many respects. But on many respects of the 2010 law, it is silent. Obviously, in 2016, we are wiser than we were in 2010. We have listened to different points of view. We have listened to different stakeholders. We have practical experience on the ground. And sir, I don't know whether the Honorable Finance Minister knows that yesterday, in one of the leading newspapers of the country, reported on the conclusions of a study, a survey that was done, which shows that 40% of the Jan Dhan accounts which have Aadhaar numbers have not been able to access their accounts. 40%. I am giving the study here. I'll give a report of the study here. 40% of the Jan Dhan accounts faced problems and hiccups on account of the Aadhaar number. This is not an argument for not using Aadhaar. This is just an argument for caution, for moving slowly, because we have problems of connectivity, we have problems of biometrics, we have problems associated with old people and their biometrics becoming unreliable. So I think anybody who raises questions on Aadhaar is not anti-national. Anybody who raises questions on Aadhaar is not anti-technology. Anybody who raises question on this legislation does not want subsidy sudhar. We want to reform the regime of subsidies. If you use Aadhaar properly, the government stands to save anywhere between 40 to 45,000 crores a year. That was an estimate that was made when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister. And that was the impetus, sir, that led to the creation of Aadhaar. And let me also say this, sir, that even though civil society was deeply skeptical of Aadhaar, even though the National Advisory Council was deeply ambivalent on Aadhaar, the Aadhaar program would not have seen the light of day had the Congress President, Srimati Sonia Gandhi, not given her full backing to Aadhaar. The Prime Minister is witness to this. The Prime Minister and Mrs. Gandhi and our Vice President, Mr. Gandhi, went to Kot Kasip in Rajasthan when the first Aadhaar experiment was launched for direct benefit transfer. And even though there was a lot of opposition, coming from different segments of society, the Prime Minister, the Congress President, and the Congress Vice President held firm. The technocrats of UID deserve full credit for what they have done. But let us be very clear. Mr. Nilekani couldn't have done what he did without Dr. Manmohan Singh, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, and Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Let us be very clear on this. So, sir, as I said, I stood in anguish because we are presented with a fait accompli. However, I am going to move certain significant amendments. I hope to get the support of the House for these amendments. I know it's a formality. I know this bill will go back to the Lok Sabha and be ramrodded through. And let me end by saying, sir,
Why should you comment like that?
let me end by saying that
No, they can
the Honorable
accept.
Leader of the House,
They can accept
if
also.
only the Honorable Leader of the House had been a little more magnanimous and brought this bill as a non-money bill, all we would have done is to refer it to a select committee chaired by either Mr. Anil Madhav Dave or by Mr. Bhupinder Yadav, whose track record of coming out with reports is 100%. Whatever committee they have chaired, we have agreed. So even now, I'm requesting you, refer it to a select committee, have Mr. Madhav Dave or Mr. Bhupinder Yadav chair it, give them time till the 25th of April. By the 25th of April, we will come up with a better bill, a bill which all of us can be proud of. This is my humble request to the Honorable Leader of the House.
You sit down. आपको शर्म है? भारत माता का वंदना करने में भी आपको शर्म है?
जो नारा नहीं लगाते भारत माता की जय का, उनको सिखाना पड़ेगा। मोहन भागवत साहब, मैं नहीं लगाता नारा, क्या करते आप?